The celebration for Leo's 7th birthday had seemed perfect, at least on the surface. We were tucked into a corner booth of the Velvet Anchor, a dimly lit bistro where the heavy velvet curtains absorbed all sound except the soft flicker of candlelight. My husband, Mark, laughed easily as he recounted stories of Leo's toddler mischief, while Leo sat unusually still. His large brown eyes followed the movement of the waiters with a focus I had never seen in him before. I remember thinking, he's growing up so fast, so calm, so composed. No fidgeting. No spilled juice. Just a silence that was too perfect, too still, and in hindsight, it should have set off alarms. We finished dinner, paid the bill, and stepped into the crisp autumn air. 3 blocks down, with Leo buckled into his booster seat and Mark humming a tune at the wheel, I realized my phone was gone. "I left it at the table," I said, voice tight. "Mark, pull over. I'll run back." 2 minutes, that's all. The restaurant was technically closed. The open sign was dark, yet the heavy oak door groaned when I pushed it. Inside, the dining room resembled a mausoleum, chairs tucked under spotless white tablecloths, no sound but the echo of my own footsteps. My phone sat near the salt shaker, innocent and unassuming. Then a hand, cold and trembling, clamped onto my wrist. It was Sarah, our waitress. Her eyes were bloodshot, wide, and unblinking. Without a word, she dragged me to the back office, locked the door, and leaned against it, breathing hard. "Be quiet," she whispered, voice cracking. "I'll show you the footage, but promise me you won't faint." My pulse thundered. Footage of what? She didn't answer. She sat at the security console and rewound the digital feed to 7:42 p.m., the exact timestamp of our dinner. At first, everything seemed normal. Mark mid-laugh, me leaning to cut Leo's steak, Leo sitting obediently in his chair. But then the moment I left for the restroom, leaving Mark's attention briefly elsewhere, the camera captured something impossible. "Watch his hands," Sarah said, her voice barely audible. Leo didn't eat. He didn't play. He sat unnervingly still. Then, his jaw began to stretch unnaturally, far beyond human limits, accompanied by a low, vibrating hum that seemed to rattle the camera itself. Slowly, deliberately, he extended his small hand toward the empty chair across from him, the chair no one had touched all evening. As his fingers brushed the air, the heavy glass carafe of red wine lifted as if an invisible giant held it. It poured itself into a glass. Then the glass rose, emptying sip by sip into nothingness, as if some unseen mouth drank it. But it wasn't the floating objects that froze me in horror. Leo leaned forward and spoke to the empty space. The high-end microphones captured every horrifying detail, a grinding, otherworldly whisper. "The vessel is ready, Father. The transition begins tonight." Then, my gentle boy picked up a steak knife. Not for play. Not for himself. He carved symbols into the expensive mahogany table with mechanical precision. When he finished, he looked straight into the camera and mouthed a single word. "Goodbye." The footage glitched. For a fraction of a second, the empty chair was not empty. A skeletal figure, skin dark as wet charcoal, towered over Leo, its needle-like fingers plunged deep into his neck. I sank to my knees, numb, unable to breathe. Sarah's grip on my shoulders shook me back to the present. "He carved it into the table," she whispered. "After you left, I cleaned up. But the markings, they remain. They're bleeding. They're a map. Your house. Look, the master bedroom." I bolted for the door, lungs burning. At the car, parked under a flickering streetlight, Mark was slumped against the driver's window. unmoving. I tore the back door open. Leo sat there, buckled in, clutching his birthday teddy bear. His brown eyes were calm, innocent. "Mommy?" he asked. "Are you okay? You forgot your phone." I looked at his neck. 5 tiny bruises, the exact shape of those needle fingers. "Where's Daddy?" I gasped. Mark groaned, blinking into awareness. "Must have dozed off," he muttered, rubbing his eyes. "Long day. Ready to go home, honey?" Leo gave me a small, knowing smile, not a child's smile, but something far older. He leaned close, whispering so only I could hear. "Don't worry, Mommy. The guest is already in the house." He went ahead of us. We drove home in silence. As we approached, I saw the master bedroom window on the 2nd floor. The curtains shifted, and a thin, tall shadow lingered, watching. That night, I stared at Leo as he slept. The table in the restaurant flashed in my mind. The carvings. The words. The skeletal figure. The invitation. Whatever had come through my son that night had not left. And now, it was inside our home, waiting for what Leo had begun. Waiting for me. I haven't slept since. Every creak of the floorboards, every shadow in the corners feels like it's watching. And the table markings. In my dreams, they bleed across the walls, tracing a path I cannot escape. The birthday wasn't a celebration. It was the opening of a door. And once that door opens, there's no closing it.